All right, let's jump right in. We're doing a deep dive today into this piece about slam poetry.
Slam poetry.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's
That's
called
fun.
Hell Has Six Colors,
Hell has six colors.
which I thought was kind of a crazy title for a piece that's supposed to be about how to
Right.
win poetry slams, right?
Right.
So I was intrigued right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it starts off, it's like setting this scene.
Okay.
It's like Munich, February 2nd, 1980.
Interesting.
And I'm thinking like,
Doesn't ring a bell?
I don't know a lot about the history of slam poetry.
Yeah.
But that date doesn't really strike me as like, oh, this is like a
Yeah.
pivotal moment, you know?
I don't think so, no.
No.
I think the author is,
So I was kind of already wondering what's going on here.
yeah, they're just kind of playing with us a little bit, I think, with that date.
Yeah.
You know, it's like February 2nd, 1980 in Munich.
Yeah.
It's all made up. It's fiction. Just to sort of grab our attention.
So it's like,
It's a hook.
forget the facts.
Yeah.
We're going straight to
Straight to the drama.
drama.
Yeah.
And then, boy, does this excerpt deliver drama.
Okay.
It's like, okay, we're in this Rubik's Cube championship,
All right.
and the description is wild. Like,
Okay.
you know, this room that, like, tastes like old carpet and cold coffee.
Oh, wow.
And the neon lights are like, I don't know,
Yeah.
almost inducing seizures?
Intense.
Like, is the author trying
Well,
to...
had sensory overload?
Yeah, like, it can be a sensory overload just reading this thing.
Well, you know, thinking about it, it's all about creating a specific atmosphere.
Okay.
It's like they're trying to create this feeling of intensity and unease, right?
Right.
And notice how they're using all these sensory details like
Yeah.
taste, smell, sight
Yeah.
to really like immerse us in this
Yeah.
this kind of bizarre,
Yeah, it's bizarre.
almost like nightmarish setting.
Yeah.
It's definitely over the top, but
Yeah.
I think that's part of the author's style.
Yeah. And then we get this, like, Rubik's Cube prodigy. It's like this teenager
Okay.
with the speed of a coke dealer and the nervousness of a first-time criminal on the dark web.
Ah.
Wow.
Wow.
Like, whoa.
That's quite a description.
These are some pretty intense
Yeah.
comparisons for a kid solving a puzzle.
Again, the author is clearly not afraid to use
I know, like-
imagery, hyperbole. It's all part of their strategy, I think,
Okay.
to keep us engaged,
Right.
to make even the most mundane activities sound thrilling.
So we got this high-stakes competition, this anxious kid, and then boom, disaster.
What happens?
He gets disqualified because
Oh, no.
two colors are out of place.
Really?
It's like the author's trying to set us up for a lesson about, like,
Yeah.
the cruelty of fate,
I think that's exactly right.
you know?
I think this moment of failure is pivotal.
Okay.
It's the springboard for the author's central argument.
Okay.
The truth is, for losers.
Wait, hold on.
It's a provocative statement.
Yeah.
It's designed to make us question everything we thought we knew about poetry slams.
So telling the truth is bad for poetry slams.
Well, according to the author, yes.
If I write, like, a really heartfelt poem about my cat,
Mhm.
I'm automatically
Doomed to fail.
doomed to fail.
They claim that audiences don't want to hear about your boring daily life,
Okay.
your forgettable Tinder dates,
Oh, yeah.
or, your pathetic 10-minute wait at the bakery.
Okay.
The author is arguing that honesty,
Right.
in and of itself,
Yeah.
isn't enough
Okay.
to captivate an audience.
So what are we supposed to do?
Well, that's a good question.
Just make stuff up.
Well, the author doesn't necessarily advocate for
Lie.
outright lying.
Okay.
They suggest using reality as raw material
Okay.
and then letting your imagination run wild with it.
Okay.
It's about taking a simple observation
Mhm.
and transforming it into a captivating story
Okay.
through exaggeration and suspense.
So instead of saying, like, I saw a guy on the train,
Right.
you'd say something like,
A guy on the train stared at me like I had stolen his winning lottery ticket.
yeah, exactly.
His eyes burned into my soul and he whispered, "You'll regret this."
That's the idea.
Okay.
The author encourages us to heighten the stakes,
Right.
create tension,
Okay.
leave the audience wanting more.
Right.
It's about turning even the most ordinary encounter
Yeah.
into something
Extraordinary.
extraordinary. Yeah. Yeah. It's about using your imagination to, like, craft this narrative that really grips the audience,
Right.
even if it means,
Bending the truth?
bending the truth a little bit
Okay.
or a lot, maybe.
So we're basically talking about like creative embellishment here.
Exactly.
Right. Like taking a grain of truth
Yeah.
and turning it into like
A mountain of intrigue.
a mountain of intrigue. Yeah.
Yeah, and the author even provides this example
Of-
of how to do this,
Okay.
right?
They describe just this simple observation of a guy on a train,
Okay.
and then they show how to transform that into, like, this suspenseful encounter.
Okay.
So instead of just saying, like, a guy stared at me,
Right.
the author suggests something like,
Okay.
this guy stared at me like I had sold his hamster on Craigslist.
Okay.
His eyes burned into my brain like a tax audit.
Right.
And then, no joke, he
Right.
leaned in and whispered, I know it was you.
Whoa. Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, that went from 0 to creepy stalker
Exactly.
in about 2 sentences.
Yeah.
But I have to admit,
It's more interesting
it's way more interesting.
than just a guy stared at me.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's exactly the point the author's trying to make.
Okay.
It's about creating that drama,
Right.
that suspense,
Oh.
and that sense of unease that just keeps the audience hooked.
But at what point are we going too far, though?
That's a great question.
Like, how much exaggeration is too much?
Well, the author actually encourages readers to, like, push the boundaries even further to, say things nobody else dares to say.
Okay, now that sounds a little dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, where do you draw the line
Well,
between
Yeah.
artistic license and just, like, straight up making stuff up?
Well, the author offers an example that really pushes the envelope here.
Okay.
They talk about a neighbor who might be dismembering people in his basement.
Well, what?
Yeah, it's a pretty extreme example.
That's pretty
It
intense.
definitely raises some, ethical considerations.
Yeah, that's taking it to a whole other level.
Right.
I mean, accusing your neighbor of being a serial killer
Yeah.
just to spice up your poetry slam,
Yeah.
that seems a bit much, even for this author.
Well, the author seems to be aware of the potential controversy here.
Okay.
They present this example as a way of kind of challenging readers to
Okay.
think about the limits of exaggeration
Yeah.
and the potential consequences of their words.
So it's like they're saying, hey, here's how to make your poetry super dramatic.
Yeah,
But be careful, you might end up with some angry neighbors.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
a delicate balance.
Yeah.
The author seems to be advocating for this bold, daring approach to storytelling,
Okay.
but they also acknowledge the responsibility that comes with wielding that kind of power.
Okay, so speaking of power, let's talk about this book,
Okay.
Poetry Master.
All right.
The author's not exactly shy about, like,
Promoting it.
promoting it. Yeah.
No, not at all.
It's basically presented as, like,
Yeah.
the ultimate guide to slam poetry domination.
Right. Buy the book, become a slam killer.
Yep.
Don't buy it, you're doomed to mediocrity.
Yeah.
It's a pretty strong sales pitch.
Yeah, it's like those infomercials that are like, you'll lose 10 pounds in a week
Right, exactly.
just by using our miracle ab cruncher.
Yeah, it's probably hype,
Yeah.
but part of you still wants to believe it.
Yeah, totally.
The language they use in the book's promotion is very persuasive.
And like they use all this powerful imagery, like
Yeah.
turn your words into weapons, hypnotize your audience.
Right.
They're trying to appeal to the reader's desire for success.
So the author is basically saying, my book is like the secret weapon you need
Yeah.
to win every poetry slam you enter.
That's the gist of it.
Okay.
But let's not forget,
Yeah.
we're only dealing with an excerpt here.
Right.
We haven't read the entire book.
Right.
So it's hard to say whether it actually lives up to the hype.
Okay, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But even if we don't buy into the whole
Right.
poetry master hype,
Yeah.
there's still a lot to unpack here. I
Absolutely.
mean, this excerpt has taken us on quite a ride.
Yeah.
From a Rubik's Cube championship in Munich
Ah.
to, like, the ethics of exaggerating about your neighbor's basement hobbies.
It's been a fascinating exploration of the relationship between truth and storytelling.
Yeah.
The author has challenged us to think about the power of exaggeration.
The boundaries of artistic license.
Right.
And the responsibility that comes with crafting a compelling narrative.
So what does all this mean for us, the listeners?
Right.
Like, are we supposed to
Yeah.
ditch the truth altogether
Should we all just...
and just embrace the art of hyperbole
That's a great
to
question.
win at poetry slams?
And it's one that I think each individual has to answer for themselves.
Right.
The author has presented a particular philosophy here,
Okay.
a way of thinking about storytelling,
Right.
but it's up to each of us to decide how we want to apply those ideas.
So exaggeration can be a powerful tool,
Yes.
but it's not the only tool.
Right.
And maybe, just maybe,
Maybe.
there's still room for a little bit of truth
Mhm.
in our poetry slams,
I agree.
even if it's sprinkled with like a healthy dose of artistic license.
That's a thought-provoking point.
Yeah.
Perhaps the most impactful poetry
Yeah.
comes from a blend of authenticity and exaggeration,
Right.
where the truth serves as a foundation and the imagination builds upon it
Okay.
to create something truly memorable.
Yeah, that's a much more nuanced perspective than the truth is for losers.
Right.
But hey, maybe that's the point.
Maybe.
Maybe the author's intentionally pushing our buttons here.
Yeah, maybe.
Challenging us to think critically about the nature of storytelling and the role of truth in art.
It certainly wouldn't be the first time an author has used provocation as a literary device.
For sure.
And in this case, it seems to have sparked a pretty engaging discussion.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you say?
We've gone from a Rubik's Cube championship in Munich to the ethics of exaggerating about your neighbor's basement hobbies.
It's been quite a journey.
So, all thanks
to this wild excerpt.
Yeah, this wild excerpt.
And its bold claims about the power of storytelling.
Speaking of bold claims, we haven't forgotten about the
book recommendation.
Book recommendation, have we? Of course not. You know, we love a good book recommendation around here.
Of course.
But before we get to that,
I
think it's time to throw this one back to our listeners.
All right.
What do you think about all of this?
Yeah, what do you think?
Can a poetry slam be truly impactful without bending the truth?
Yeah.
Or is a certain level of exaggeration necessary to connect with an audience on an emotional level?
Yeah.
Hit us up on social media.
Let us know.
And let us know your thoughts.
And for those of you who are looking for a more in-depth exploration of these techniques, the book we've been discussing today is called Poetry Master Poesycraft in 7 Tagen.
Poetry Master Poesycraft in 7 Tagen.
It promises to delve into the art of crafting captivating poetry and dominating the slam stage.
Awesome.
So check it.
Stay sharp and keep those imaginations running wild.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy exaggerated. Like they're giving us like a backstage pass to the whole world of slam poetry.
Yeah.
Like showing us the tricks of the trade. Even if some of those tricks are a
little shady.
A little questionable, yeah.
It's definitely a provocative approach.
Yeah.
You know, by pushing those boundaries of truth and exaggeration.
Right.
The author's kind of forcing us to confront our own assumptions about what makes a story compelling.
It's like they're saying, if you want to grab the audience's attention, you got to be willing to shake things up, even if it means bending reality a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
The author seems to be suggesting that a certain level of artifice is not only acceptable, but like necessary in this realm of performance.
Well, where's the line?
Yeah.
You know?
Good question.
Like at what point do we just lose sight of the truth altogether?
Right.
If we're constantly exaggerating and embellishing, do our stories even have any meaning anymore?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And, you know, the author doesn't explicitly address that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's something that each storyteller has to grapple with on their own.
Right.
You know?
So it's like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah. Where's the line?
Between, like, artistic expression and just, like...
outright deception.
Deception.
It's like walking a tightrope, right? You want to be captivating.
Right.
But you also want to maintain some level of authenticity.
Okay. So, what's the takeaway here for our listeners?
Now,
should we all just go out and start...
Should we all just...
exaggerating our life stories?
Right.
To win poetry slams?
I wouldn't necessarily recommend that.
Okay.
You know, the author's approach is certainly one way to approach storytelling.
Right.
But it's not the only way.
Okay, so it's like a tool.
It's like they've given us a set of tools, right?
Right.
But it's up to us to decide how to use those tools responsibly and effectively.
So I guess if you're aiming for, like... shock value, dramatic flair.
Right.
Maybe a little exaggeration is in order. A little exaggeration's okay.
But if you're going for like emotional honesty,
right, yeah,
vulnerability, maybe a more grounded approach is better.
A more grounded approach, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about...
ultimately your own.
Yeah, it's about finding your own voice.
A voice in your own style.
And your own style,
It's about being true to yourself.
Exactly.
Even if that means, like...
even if it means...
bending the truth a little bit.
Bending the truth a little bit along the way.
Along the way.
Yeah, perhaps. Or perhaps it's about finding the truth within the exaggeration.
Oh.
Using the tools of storytelling.
Right.
To illuminate something real and meaningful.
Wow.
Right.
That's deep.
I think we've officially unpacked this whole Hell Has 6 Colors excerpt.
And emerged with some valuable insights about
the art of storytelling. It's certainly been a thought-provoking journey.
For sure.
And as always, you know, we encourage our listeners
to continue exploring these ideas and find their own path in the world of creative expression.
And if you're looking for a more in-depth guide to crafting captivating poetry,
be sure to check out the book we've been discussing. Poetry Master, Posy Craft, and 7 Toggen.
There you go.
It promises to equip you with all the tools and techniques you need to dominate the slam stage.
Well, that's it for this deep dive.
That's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And until next time.
Until next time.
Keep those imaginations firing.
Yeah, keep those imaginations firing.
Those words flowing.
Keep those words flowing.
And those truths.
And those truths.
Well, maybe bend them a little.
Maybe bend them a little.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
Stay sharp.
Stay sharp.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
And keep diving deep.
And we'll see you next time.